let's continue with something a little bit different. Opened up a window, searched, rank FF7 characters like in battle or whatever. Whatever I searched, don't remember what I searched. Let's find out. What did I search? Uh, earliest cursed ring in FF7. I wanted to see if we could do this setup faster. And anyways, I landed on this link, and we're gonna rank the characters, or I'm gonna look at this ranking, and I want to talk about it because I think there's fundamentally like two and a half ways to rank. There's you play through the game normally, who are the best characters to use, who's the easiest characters to make really powerful. And then there's the kind of min max way of playing where you optimize everything and where you're doing the absolute most powerful things. And then there's some sort of in betweens, like, okay, you can go a little out of the way or a bit out of the way, do a bit of this. You're not doing the like 50 hours of grinding, but you're doing a few hours, and that can make this setup, and that's pretty powerful. And I think that stuff's fair to include. You can also include stuff like, hey, you didn't have access to this character for most of the game. And that seems fair to include as well. I think by any of these standards, though, this list is bad, so I felt like talking about it. We have Vincent in ninth. Now, if we think about Vincent, it mentions the stuff it brings up is correct. He has three stats about him that are interesting. His big defect, and the reason they have him as the worst, is because his limit breaks make him uncontrollable. In my experience using Vincent, so his limit breaks get one hit at a time, other characters get more hits, which means especially as you start approaching the damage cap, he maxes out, where other characters keep increasing in value. This is a big drawback for him. Another big drawback is his limit breaks. You don't control it, and it uses elemental abilities. And in my experience, as you level up his limit breaks, lines up really well with when you start finding enemies that are the element that absorbs whatever his new limit break is. So I find his limit breaks pretty terrible. And if you're judging characters by limit breaks, he comes out bad. That said, long range weapons is good. Obviously, keeping farther distance makes you take half damage from physical attacks. That is a great trait. Two, 255% weapon accuracy means he misses less. Now, the way accuracy works, our normal weapons are around 100% accuracy, and they hit most of the time. 255% accuracy doesn't hit that much more. However, it means he's a very good death blow user, because death blow lowers your accuracy to get basically an automatic critical, and lowering his accuracy, his effective hit percentage on normal attacks is only slightly higher than your other characters, but his effective hit percentage on death blows is much higher than other characters, and he's actually a nice user for that effect, so you can regularly get bonus damage out of his attacks. He has a high magic stat. Most characters have pretty close stats, so that's going to make some marginal differences, but we've been playing this game. We've just looked at something where one of our characters is doing 10,000 a turn, and our next best character, also using stuff we're not supposed to have yet, is doing 2,000 a turn, right? So, slightly higher magic stat is not going to make these big differences. It's clever build stuff that is. And so it's stuff like him being able to death blow and just hit most of his death blows way earlier than anyone else can. Overall, I think Vincent is certainly a weak character, and there is a reasonable list in which you would have him last, but I think that is not this list. Because this list will be very much based on what happens if you absolutely maximize. The descriptions on the top characters in the list are assuming you are farming sources, which is we've gotten power sources and other stuff in this playthrough, but there's a way to farm them. You can farm them quick-ish, but it still takes a while. It's a pain. I don't know who would do it on like a casual run. It's not fun. It's not interesting. It's something you want max stats and you feel that looks cool. I did it once. It was boring. I'm not going to do it again, right? You don't need to beat the threats, and so I don't see the point. However, if you're going to assume the time to min max with that, there are some other assumptions of what you should assume. And as I recall, if you do enough battles, Vincent's ultimate weapon, each character's ultimate weapon gets better with some certain factor. I believe you can get enough battles with him that it has the underflow glitch, and Vincent can one-shot any enemy in the game. Now, that would take a lot more time to do than farming sources. So it's not ridiculous to say you might farm sources but not do this, and characters should be judged on their farming sources but not on this. But if you did judge it on this, I believe you would get Vincent can one shot any enemy in the game with a normal attack, and you can't beat that. So if you are assuming infinite time spent, then Vincent should be at worst tied for first. If you are assuming large amounts of time spent, then he should probably be last. And if you are assuming no time spent, he should be pretty low. Okay, next up is Cait Sith. Now, Cait Sith is a curious one because his limit break can one-shot anything. And you don't need to have done like any preparation, you just need to get his level 2 limit break, which is like pretty quick to get. And he can one-shot anything if you get good at the limit break command. Now, most people exclude stuff like this. Most people would say, okay, either things that one-shot that easily are kind of unfair, you didn't have to put in any work, or people aren't going to take the time to get good at slots. I never have. So they're not going to be able to reliably do his instant kill of bosses. But the easiest, quickest way to beat the game's super bosses is Cait Sith. So if you say which character can most efficiently beat the game's hardest challenges, the answer is Cait Sith, who can also beat every other boss too, as long as you come in with a limit without much effort. So if we're going to assume kind of you're maximizing everything, then I would put Cait Sith higher because he insta-beats everything. But people like to exclude insta-beating stuff, which also excludes Vincent best thing. But if you are excluding that stuff, then Cait Sith should be worse than Vincent, right? If you're including it, Cait Sith's number one, or very close, but should be number one. If you're doing infinite time, other characters can also one-shot everything, but a few other characters. But if we're assuming you're not using this, then Cait Sith should be below Vincent. I think there is no kind of rational way of ordering this where you have a consistent criteria where Cait Sith is one slot ahead of Vincent. I think this is very strange. I understand why the person did it. They wanted to like give Cait Sith a boost for having something that's completely broken. But you can't take a character that either is the worst in the game or the best in the game and say that averages to 8th, right? You can use one set of criteria and have them 9th. You can use a different set and have them 1st. You could use a really messy in-between set, but then you wouldn't have them 8th. You'd have them higher than that. This is a bad ranking for Cait Sith. For my purposes, for kind of playing through the game, not having to show mad skills in using the slots or learn how to do that properly, Cait Sith is 9th, Vincent is 8th, right? And Vincent has, again, the death blow setup is good, long range is good, and having terrible limit breaks, not the end of the world. You can just be using death blows and ignore the limit breaks. So actually, it's possible Vincent is higher than that. 7th, Red 13. Now, Red 13, as this points out, the things this points out are really on point. Gets a good weapon when he joins your party. Many characters that join your party have a weapon ahead of the curve, but Red 13 is one of the more noticeably ahead of the curve. Like, he comes in not quite ahead of the curve, but quickly gets ahead of the curve at Cosmo Canyon and just before it, I think, and is generally ahead of the curve for a bunch of that first disc. Also, the support abilities giving haste when you might not have it. I forget what Bloodfang does. I think it heals you some. But limit breaks that give you a little more variety are quite nice to play around with. And as it points out, he does get a multi-hit limit break, which is going to mean endgame, if you're maxing out, is going to do way more damage than Vincent or Cait Sith if you don't use the instant kill slots ability. But most other characters later are going to have stronger options when maximized. His part of the game where he's one of the best characters in your party is pretty short and not a particularly difficult portion of the game. I think that you have access to him sooner, that he does have better limit break options, probably puts him ahead of Vincent, but I do think Deathblow Vincent, from when you get him, is probably a better character than Red 13 is until kind of maximizing endgame stuff. Not by a lot, but by a little. So I could see a case for Vincent above Red, certainly above Cait Sith. And there's some really cool stuff. I'm not sure how feasible it is because I tried to replicate it and couldn't get it to work, and I could only find someone doing it on another language version and possibly with some weird settings, and I couldn't really replicate it. But Red's limit break that goes berserk, someone set him up with that, using that to start, and actually had a setup where that could beat Ruby Weapon, one of the super bosses. We've seen Emerald Weapon going around Undersea. We haven't seen Ruby Weapon yet. But I've always thought Ruby Weapon was the tougher of the two super bosses. And Red has a way to handle that, which, again, might have to be weird settings, like set the battle speed to minimum, some weird stuff. But that's pretty cool. All in all, I would say Red and Vincent end up kind of similar. Red with better limit breaks, but Vincent's long range and 255 accuracy, making him really competitive here. Yeah. In 6, they have Tifa. And they said they initially put it wrong. Tifa has high hit rate on one of the weapons. Don't really care too much about that. They do, however, know about the 2 weapons. We have the Power Soul. Later, you get the Master Fist. They get a boost. Thus, Tifa is their favorite character to use in regular battles. I agree. Her limit breaks cannot maximize as much as these characters can, but that only matters when you start hitting the damage cap, right? Then them getting more hits and more powerful hits is going to add up to more. But until kind of late game, min-maxing ish stuff, that's not going to matter. So yes, she maxes out weaker, but I think for playing through the regular game, as I hope I'm showing here, especially because you get her set up right before the stupid robot chicken, which is one of the toughest bosses in the game, and we absolutely destroyed. Right, the rest of the game is going to be a cakewalk, and that's because Tifa is the most powerful character. And I would put her higher than this. Again, if you were doing absolute max strength, I think she's bottom of the list, right? Kate Sith has slots. Vincent, if you fight a billion battles, can one-shot anything. Red 13 has more hits on his best limit. She and Red 13 are probably the bottom 2 in a fully maxed out file. But how many of us are playing fully maxed out files, and what enemy in the game requires us to do it? To beat the actual challenges in the game, things like Demon Gate in Disc 1 or Robot Chicken in Disc 2, I think overall Tifa's pretty close to your best character for the actual threats in the game. So I would have her first, but I think there's another version of the list where she's last. But that's a version of the game that I'm just not going to put in the time to play more than once. So Yuffie's pretty interesting. Yuffie comes in, if you get her when first available, she's going to have weapon coming in ahead of curve, which is nice. She also has some all-hit limit breaks, which is quite nice. Usually the biggest threats don't have you needing to hit multiple enemies, so that's not really a problem. She's long range, which is great. She has a huge multi-hit limit break that you can max her out as. It takes a lot more effort to max her out and get huge damage than some of the others, but you can do it. Overall, though, I think Yuffie's kind of in the Red 13-ish category, but she does have long range. She's ahead of the curve, kind of a similar period of the game, maybe a little shorter, and she has a better kind of end game limit break setup. But how much does that matter? I don't know. Also, the ways you can, she's the easiest character to do stat farming with, source farming. So if you want to do a lot of source farming, it's arguable that she's actually the number 1 character because she will make that go so much faster than anyone else will. And so maxing out all the other characters relies on having her be good. But, that's a kind of silly argument. I think she's fine. For normal playthroughs, totally fine, reasonable character. Eris. Now, Eris, as we saw, is really great Disc 1. Her heals is pretty reliably like, if she gets hit and low on life, she gives your party close to a full heal. It's a full heal for a while. By the end of Disc 1, it's not so much. But she also leaves your party early, and I would say she looks like she's going to be good. I actually don't even know what her Great Gospel Limit Break does. Is that the one that petrifies everything? I don't think so. I don't remember. I'm going to go Google in another window. Great Gospel Eris. What does it do? Oh, it might make you invincible. Fully heals, so it's a full heal and cures all negative status effects. Anything else? and gives you temporary invincibility. So yeah, that's incredible. That's pretty broken, and she's not in your party for long. But that isn't even the most broken, because obviously Kate Sith Slots is better. But okay, yeah, Eris around here, sure, whatever. This is going to depend a lot on what your criteria are for a list like this. Barrett, long range attacks is great, but the point and his limit breaks hit more times. So if you max him out, he does have higher max damage than most other characters. I would say in general, Barrett is good. His limit breaks throughout are perfectly good at level. He has high HP, which is pleasant. He can be back row, which is lovely. Barrett's a very good character. In general, I would say better than Red and Red 13 and Yuffie, also in your party for more of the game, and has a better min-max endgame, though I don't care too much about that. Barrett is great. Sid joins kind of late. Again, he has a good maxing out. He's a good character to have join in the late game. His abilities are strong. I don't know. I mean, Barrett's in your party longer. I would give Barrett the edge. Also, if we are maxing out everything, Barrett's gun can one-shot everything if you spend forever maxing it out, his final gun. So Barrett, technically the best in the game. S tier Cloud, I think Cloud, Sid, and Barrett basically all do the same amount of damage in endgame, but Cloud can, as this points out, does more if you did not do any source farming, which most of us won't do because that's really boring and you don't need to. Yeah, Cloud you have the whole time. Cloud is always a good member. He has good stats both magically and physically, though the differences are pretty small. Cloud is a great character, but I think as we can see, it's not like he was massively better than Tifa throughout the game. Tifa is massively better now. If we do a bunch of maximizing endgame, sure, Cloud becomes massively better then. But at that point, we're destroying everything in the game without any effort with either character. So, yeah, I'd have Tifa number one, and that would be my list. But I want to say, obviously, this list is using a different criteria than me. That's completely fine. But then I wish it was consistent within its criteria, right? If you're going to say, like, we're going to do source farming, I'm not sure why then we would exclude slots from what a tier list looks like. I guess it's kind of that seeing your characters do mad damage is fun, and just seeing your character do, I do this silly mini game and then the enemy dies is not fun. But at that point, I would still change the list a bit, and I would move Kate Sith down to 9th. So I think whatever happens, this list is bad. All right, let's play our actual game. And Tifa's obviously number one. Where else did we want to go? I think we wanted to continue the game now, which is... Oh, actually, while we're here... Oh, it's not here yet. Later in this desert, there will be a little red thing popping up, and that is Ruby Weapon, and if you fly your ship into it, it will give you a game over, because it is very powerful. I like having the super bosses just on the world map, as, like, horrifying things to avoid. But that the story has told us is very scary, and we should be looking to avoid, right? If it comes at you out of the blue, sorry, just moving some things around. If it comes at you out of the blue, then it's annoying. But if it, you're told these are weapons, you're shown these are weapons in a scene, these are like world-destroying, powerful things. All right, we're gonna bribe this guy again. And we are getting close to the end of the game, but there are a whole bunch of important bosses coming up. So if you were thinking, okay, you made Tifa good, but she's only good for one boss. No, she's going to be good for a few more than that. I think we probably are going to beat Emerald and Ruby Weapon. I think that shouldn't be too much of a pain to do. We're going to use a kind of simplified-ish strategy, but we're not going to have to grind anything. I think I'm not interested in finish loading the huge materia. All we have to do now is get ready the cargo ship Gelnica for departure, and we're done. Because the Gelnica has not, in fact, departed. We've already looted it for stuff, but it actually hasn't left because this game does have some little errors in continuity, right? Like, they put the Gelnica ship crashed under sea, and that's just there. and didn't realize you could actually go there before it's supposed to be there. But now we will go see how it gets there, I guess. So slight spoilers, but not for something very important. We've already searched all these houses and stuff. There's probably more stuff to find, but per usual, my interest in such is limited. I really like. I ran across a guide. I forget for what game. I think this is the wrong place. Yeah, this is where the ship left. This is not actually where we're trying to go. I ran across a guide at some point. I don't remember what game. Maybe it was Xenogears or something. But it was just like an efficiency playthrough. Like it wasn't telling you where like all the items are. It was just saying here's a few items that actually make a difference to your playthrough. So for Xenogears, that would be things like the Ether Doubler. That's a pretty powerful effect. The Speed Shoes, I forget if they're called something other than that, but like a few items that really make a difference to how you actually to your power level in the game, right? Not trying to pick up every random thing, but just here's here's the big ones. I'm a bit unsure of where we're actually supposed to go, but let's come out this way. Now that's a shop. I thought that huh. We have to go towards where the subs were? Maybe. Alright, we can do that. Um but it just like kind of highlighted here are things that make a real difference to gameplay. Here's abilities that are powerful, relevant abilities to use. And I kind of think that's the things I want to find. And when I'm playing a game, those are the things that are going to change my experience playing that game. And knowing where they are is the stuff that makes me be able to play it efficiently. So I'm not interested in like beating Ruby Weapon or Emerald Weapon with slots. I don't think that's fun. Um, so I like that guy. Would not have no interest in Kate Sith. But I also want to beat it with a method that doesn't take grinding, right? The stuff of like, yeah, this isn't the way to go. Um, I think we ran past it early. I think the path to the airship base is right at the start, and that's where we're headed. Anyway, while I continue to be lost, uh, like my interest is figuring out what is a strategy I can efficiently do that has the least time spent doing random stuff that is just kind of boring busy time. So like I've done, chocobo racing a fair few times. It's fine. Like it can be fun, but I have no desire to spend, many more hours on it. And, for people who do, that's great. Like when I first played FF8, I just ran around the world. Like when Balam Garden, spoilers, becomes able to fly, like I would just fly around the world and like I'd spend all day playing FF8. I'd make no progress. I'd just like try to jump from islands to another and miss all the jumps, and I was having the time of my life. It was great. I can't do that anymore. Not for some people it's because they like have time constraints so they feel pressure. And for me it's not because of that. It's just cuz like I need more feelings of progress to feel satisfied. And so it doesn't satisfy me and fulfill me in the same way it used to. Hey, we found where I meant to go. There we go. Here's the sunken Gelnica. Looking great. Probably shouldn't have named it the sunken Gelnica. I guess it's just named the Gelnica. But the soon to be sunken Gelnica. Now we see it take off there, and then if you remember the conversation we have, oh no, the huge materia. Can't we go after it? Where's their destination? Rocket Town, of course. All right, we'll go to Rocket Town. But the sunken Gelnica doesn't make it, as we learn from the Turks. It runs into Weapon on the way there, and well, that's the end of it. Oh, bummer when Tifa misses. Wow, an enemy took a hit from Tifa. Soldiers are strong. Incredible work from that guy. Incredible work. No one besides bosses and enemies in the sunken Gelnico, which is again somewhere we're not supposed to check out till like the next disc, basically. Like you can check it out now, but the game really balances it, assuming you're doing it on the final disc. Nothing else has taken a hit from Tifa and made it, so congrats to that soldier. Yeah, so when I play a game, I like to figure out what's the quickest way I can get enough power to beat the threats the game's going to throw at me. And if the game throws like harder threats at you and you have to figure out more complex stuff or stuff takes more time, that's okay. But the goal is kind of to figure out something efficient. Now, often something clever is going to be more than good enough. So it's not that you're just figuring out just enough to be at level. A lot of the times you're figuring out stuff way above level, but it's the stuff way above level that doesn't take that much effort to do, right? Unless it's really fun to get something. Like sometimes I get really into Blitzball and just want to play a bunch of it. And so if something would be gotten through Blitzball, that would be very pleasant, right? And sometimes you don't want to play Blitzball at all, and that's cool too. Then the strategies are different. Rocket towns past the mountains, because they are aiming to send a rocket after Sephiroth. I guess we'll do Rocket Town, not cut this into a new video, because nothing much has happened in this video. I just got lost in Junin for a bit. Let's check in on Shara. Doesn't seem to be in Sid's house. Alright, I think there's a guy we can talk to here. Maybe this guy, the guy who gave us the thing before. There's a bunch of Shinra people who are messing with the rocket. Is my rocket alright? Alright, not that guy. Let's try this guy. What's young President Rufus doing by getting all these mechanics together? Oh, same line. Okay, probably not you. The Shinra's serious about launching that piece of crap rocket, but why now? Alright, maybe I have to come back a different time. There's someone to talk to there that I think gives you Sid's final weapon or some weapon for him that's appealing. Or maybe his limit break. Whatever. We're not using Sid. Those terrorists are here. Oh, we haven't been called terrorists in a while. Nice to, get back to the classics. And you're going to get Deathload. He's too strong. Nothing has survived 60 seconds, and that's with other characters taking up time with their moves. But nothing has made it past 60 seconds so far. I'm sure something will. If we do the super bosses, they can make it 60 seconds, but it's pretty ridiculous. Don't let them get any further. Everyone, attack. All right. I think I did the weapons when I did my solo Tifa run. Maybe I didn't. Pretty sure I did though. I always like set red to heal after. I'm like, oh, I'm not at full health. I should heal. Never gets the chance. Enemy's dead, no matter how many there are. But yeah, in conclusion, I guess I've talked about this a ton. You're not going anywhere. Nowhere. But there's not much else to say right now. So I just think my favorite way to play a game is gonna be it's nice to explore the side quests, but if I have explored them in the past, I probably don't want to spend too much time on them again. And so what I'd rather do is just find the most efficient ways to beat the challenges the game throws at me. And that's pretty reliably gonna be by my kind of rankings would say Tifa is the best character because Tifa is the easiest character to get way above the power level of what the game thinks is possible. So I'm gonna pause for a moment here, and we're back. Played some chess, did some other things, hit my peak rating for the month on online bullets. That's nice. But we're back, and we're destroying things because Tifa is OP. And cover leveled up, which is great. Just means Tifa gets hit more, which means Tifa hits them more. Wait, Cloud. You're gonna kick those out of my pocket. Rocket, then take me with you. Alright, well, can't drop Cloud, can't drop Tifa. Easy choice. Can we move her into the second slot? Sadly, no. But we will move stuff around. What do you got? Scimitar. Great strength, triple growth. Yeah, we'll give it a go. Spirit Lance, also pretty... Ooh. We don't need triple growth. This seems fine. Let's just give him some stuff that's not being used. That way we don't have to mess with anything. What looks interesting? Let's level up some materia that, we haven't touched much. Alright, he's just going to be an attack duty, because honestly, we don't need him, right? Alright, let's show those Shinra. We already have the most powerful character in FF history. Who cares about the rest of our party? Now, the solo Tifa run was kind of difficult until this setup came together, right? All the challenges of a normal solo run. You're just lower power than usual, have to balance more healing, enemies get a lot more turns in comparison to you, but it wasn't too bad. You again. We will eliminate everyone who gets in Shinra's way. Now note that Rude recently said, guess this is the last time we'll see you, because the game thinks we did that sequence in the Sunken Gelnica way after we did this sequence. But as is, let's have another fight with Rude. We can probably steal another Zedric here, which is a pretty, which is a pretty interesting, weapon. So let's, I might not have steal here. Alright, well in that case, let's do some death blowing, some boost jumps, I guess some 2x cuts. Any bets on where the timer? Because I'm using some moves that aren't even Tifa. Where the timer lands by the end of this fight? Will they make it down? I think the record is down to 16 seconds. I think maybe carry armor got down under 10, somewhere around 15 seconds left. So we'll see if M barrier, but M barrier doesn't lower physical damage. And the problem is physical damage. Yep, that's it. Didn't even see where Tifa ended, but I feel like 40 seconds plus. She's too good. I do recommend everyone do this once. Then do it more if you enjoy it. I enjoy it. They got us. We did get you. Do we want to use the Zedric? We haven't looked at that yet. We did steal one. Nothing like that, but the highest defensive stats in the game, but no materia slots. Interesting weapon, or armor. Some pain, some gain. Why are you here? Root of the Turks should have been here. Too bad. Those guys are over there. Oh man, the Turks, being done in like that, but I won't let you through. I don't think you're gonna... Have you seen Tifa's fists anytime recently? They're just not stoppable. Oh dear. Oh dear. As always, the wasted heal that doesn't matter because Tifa does 10,000 a turn. Erg is right. Hey, what the hell are you guys doing? Hey, just when I thought something was going on, you come back. Listen to me, Captain. We're gonna launch this rocket. Huh? What are you talking about? We're gonna load a materia bomb in this and blow up Meteor. Our rocket's gonna save the planet. Erg, man, this is so cool! Wait a minute. Shut up. Just shut the hell up. How's the rocket? It's pretty much okay. But we plan to run it into Meteor on autopilot, but the most important device is broken. Broken? How's the repair going? Shira's doing it. Oh, great. What a bunch of wizards you guys are. She's gonna take 100 years. I'll take over, so don't worry about the autopilot. Hey, go ahead. Go tell everyone. Alright, Captain. Good luck. Hey, Sid, what are you doing? There are generations of knowledge and wisdom inside the materia. We're going to borrow their powers and save the planet from Sephiroth. There's no way that we can lose the huge materia. You understand that, right? Yeah, I understand. I understand that materia is precious, and I also understand what you're thinking. But listen, I don't give a rat's ass whether it's science or magical power. No, I guess if I had to choose, I'd rather put my money on the power of science. Humans who used to only roam around on the ground are able to fly now. And finally, we're about to go into outer space. Science is a power created and developed by humans, and science just might be what saves this planet. I was able to earn my living thanks to science, so to me, there's nothing greater. Now quit your worrying about what Shinra's gonna do. I don't want to regret not having done something later. But, Sid, shut the hell up, I don't want to hear it. Now, to be fair, what we should do is launch the rocket into Meteor and put all our huge materia into it. Right? We should just do Shinra's plan. Alright, time to get to work. Anyone who ain't involved, get the hell out of here. What the hell? What the hell happened? Hey, hey! I like how the kind of Shinra sidekicks are Gyahaha, Kyahaha, and Hey Hey. Palmer, what the hell did you do? They said they finished repairing the autopilot, so I launched it. Goddamn, Shara, why'd you pick today to get fast? Damn, won't even budge. It's completely locked up. Hey, 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 almost liftoff. But no countdown, just don't seem the same without it. Hey, 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 blast off. There's the real countdown. I do like that this game finally gets to fulfill Sid's dreams of the rocket taking off. Like, Sid is obviously not a very important character, but it's kind of fun when he becomes the leader. And we do spend the time to actually let him, as part of the main story even, not as like a very quick side quest, uh, try to take off a rocket. And it's doing better than last time. It's already, I feel like it's already about equal with where it was last time before it fell back down. New personal best for Sid. Congrats to Sid. Big day for Sid. Both FF7 and FF8 are into outer space. Once we hit FF9, we sort of forget outer space exists. That's fine with me. But FF7 and FF8 both like outer space. I finally made it. Outer space. You know what? We'll stop there. That seems like a reasonable place to stop. We made it to outer space. What will happen next?